You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, massive news on the New World front this week.
Yeah, man. Some pretty big news, dude. It's exciting times.
We're going to break it all down for you guys in this episode. But first, guys, if you're interested in New World, you should be checking out New World fans. I mean, come on. What are you guys doing? It's a website chock full of New World content. Obviously, a lot of the stuff on there is pending from the preview event. So all the new information will be added once the NDA drops. That's an important thing we like to note to you guys. Also, our YouTube channel. For you podcast listeners, don't forget to go over to the YouTube channel and check out the VODs and other New World content. And if you're a YouTube viewer, just go over to Apple iTunes and just give us a 5-star rating for fun. You know what I mean? It'll be fun, right, Bordy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
It's always a good time, dude. Yeah. Be great.
So, now that we have housekeeping out of the way, boys, we got tons of stuff to talk about. But first, we're gonna do bad news first, good news last. Okay, Bordy? I think that's most people as approach to receiving good news, bad news, right?
Yeah, think so.
So, bad news. New World is delayed again for the third time. Now a lot of people speculated, and honestly, Steam even had so on their New World page, that the game would be out in May 2021 or late spring or whatever they initially said first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, bad news, the game isn't coming out until August. Now, it's not that much of a delay compared to the lengthy one we've been managing thus far. I think what was it, like 9 or 10 months delay? The one, yeah. So it's supposed to come out in August last year. It got delayed until, I don't know what they say, November, and then eventually, or October, November, and then that got delayed until what was supposed to be May, and now it's August. So, what's cool about that is they finally gave us beta dates. So, beta is now going to be in July, so a month before release. And so that's cool. Now, one of the things that you should know, if you are a person that would be interested in being in the beta or participating in the beta, it is a closed beta. So not everybody gets to try it like the preview event. And how do you try it, Bordy?
Well, you pre-order the game, bro.
You pre-order the game. Finally, us pre-order people get some reward, and that is we get to play in the beta. Now, if you want to play in the beta, you have to pre-order the game too. I think the game isn't it $40 on Steam?
Yeah.
And then $50 if you want the map.
And then, yep.
Which I still have in my cart, I think. I don't know how that works.
I say yep? $39.99 and then $49.99, I do believe, were the prices.
Yeah, so if you want it is a kind of a buy-in beta, but I guess you're getting the full game. So if you're interested in the game, why wouldn't you pre-order, dude? Why? Why not? I guess a lot of people are against pre-ordering, so just if you want to play the beta, pre-order. If you don't, then don't. Wait till release. And release will be, Bordy, August
31st, bro.
31st, the last day of August possible. It's like the gimmick or the thing in the store where they mark something $4.99. It's basically $5, but it's it sounds good. It sounds better if it's $4.99. So instead of September, it's August 31st, the last day.
Because everybody always says, "Oh, that thing's only $4," and now everybody's saying, "Oh, well, the game releases in August."
Yeah, now the game's in August, man.
It's just August,
not too far away, 6 months.
Yeah.
It turns out.
Kudos to the team for that one.
Yeah. Hey, man. Well, I'm not gonna complain. We got a release date finally, and we do a lot of work around New World. Obviously, the podcast, the website, our YouTube channel. So it's good to finally have a date where we can start, our anxiety and frantic rush to get everything updated for. So now we at least have a date.
Yeah, I'm excited to have a date, man. Even though it's delayed, dude, having a concrete date is awesome. And there has been some people that have been criticizing us over on YouTube saying, you guys don't know that that's a concrete date yet, like, because they've delayed it so many times or whatever. Well, we do know that this is the first time they have been this confident about a date, right? Like they've come out on Discord and said a couple of times that they don't think this is gonna change at all. This is pretty much a date that is set in stone. So I do feel really confident and really good that we're gonna get the game on the 31st of August, man.
I do too. And to your defense, we have people on YouTube that think somehow we're related to directly to the development of the game. They ask us to make changes.
We are not.
Like, yeah,
we are not.
Yeah, please stop. Don't add this weapon. It's going to kill the game. It's like we literally have no control over that. So, you know.
We just talk about it.
We
man.
just talk about the game.
I mean, we
actually have less control than our YouTube listeners probably because, you know, they know a lot more than we do. I know that most of them do. So okay. So now that that's out of the way, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the update. I think that they did the delay announcement pretty gracefully. Obviously Scott Lane has done a few of them already. But he was very confident in this one. He didn't miss a beat. He's like, hey, the game's delayed. It's going to be August 31st. Now here's the cool stuff. Bordy, they announced 2 or 3 massive announcements to New World that these features are going to be in before launch. That's the important part, right? They're going to get these things done. And the first thing that they announced, Bordy, is Ebonscale Reach. Now, we already saw Reekwater. We had the opportunity to cover that event. So now, dude, we're going to get another new zone, Ebonscale Reach. And dude, it is Eastern inspired, and it is awesome to see. The screenshots are dope. Let's you talk, and I'll get the screenshots up for our people.
Yeah, dude. So Ebonscale Reach is like set in a mountain area on kind of the side of a mountain, Asian themed area, which looks incredible. I think this is the first time we've seen anything quite like this in New World. So that's what is exciting to me, is that this is completely different than anything else, any structure we've seen in New World so far. This is going to be completely different. A lot of the settlements do kind of have the same feeling and vibe, although they have reworked them, like they mentioned in a patch notes a month or 2 ago, where they reworked all the settlements to have different visuals now. But so that's good. So now maybe they'll all be a little bit different, but this one in particular is so much different, dude. And it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see other cultures and other inspirations come into the game finally, like we've thought was going to happen for a really long time.
Yes, I agree. And to your point, Eternum seems to be this place of like the sort of like the Bermuda Triangle or some long lost artifact that people have been trying to find, and it makes sense for all these different cultures to have been searching for it, for the lore of Eternum to reach all throughout the entire world. Not just Europe, which a lot of the architecture is inspired for like colonialism and stuff like that. So, dude, it is awesome to see these massive structures and temples. The storyline in which they kind of had kind of placed behind this zone as well is very interesting. And this is unique, or this is a cool thing, because Reekwater had the same thing with the Siren Queen. They're like building up the lore of these zones now, which is really cool to kind of, see them not just design like another zone or another settlement that needs to be warred after, but there was also another war going on in this particular 2 in-game zones that involve like a NPC or a lore character as well.
Yeah, which is awesome, man. This is what they wrote on the website. It says, filled with lush wetlands and towering cliffs, Ebonscale Reach is a new in-game zone in Eternum. So this is to your point here. An exiled empress is building a corrupted fleet hold on, let me read it. An exiled empress is building a corrupted fleet there that could threaten the entire world. There we go. So that's crazy, man. So an exiled empress is apparently building a corrupted fleet here in Ebonscale that could threaten the entire world of Eternum, which is dope.
Yeah. And maybe is that Empress Annabelle or what? I just forgot her name. Isabella.
Isabella.
Yeah. It could be her, dude. It could be her, dude.
I don't know. Maybe because we haven't seen anything else from her since the trailer. So maybe this is their way of working her in there. That would be dope.
Yeah, I'm excited to find out more. And it seems like they're very, they mentioned things I think we mentioned on the podcast before. They're not afraid to add zones to a tournament. A tournament is this mysterious place that, can form and shape. And I think their approach to just adding more zones to this current island, I think is great. It's fine with me. You know what I mean? The more, the merrier. Of course, as long as the servers and player population on the servers match up to that, which is
absolutely. I think what do you think about on launch though now, man? Do you think after the preview we had what we had, and then after the preview we received Reekwater, obviously, and now we're gonna have Ebonscale. Is that enough for launch? Is the map now complete enough for a launch product?
So yes, I think so. And here's why. I'm a firm believer, and I know you feel the same way too, that this type of, the way that we're seeing this, stream of content and updates and new features and everything, I don't think that's stopping after launch. I truly believe that they're going to continue to add to this game and work, have an active, living game. I think it's fine with launch because I see them adding a lot of features post-launch, like new zones and new activities as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think that it's fine after that. I would much rather see them now shift their focus into fine-tuning the other stuff that we're about to talk about, and then maybe even adding maybe something else in there too for some mid-to-end game content
PvP
versus
arenas.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Versus zones. I think on launch, I think the map is now big enough to support a launch, and then maybe later on with an expansion add something else. Because 2 new zones, man, that's dope, dude. And the map was already it wasn't small. It's not an incredibly large map. It doesn't take a long time to run from one into the other necessarily, but in my opinion, I think it's big enough, right? I think it's big enough to launch with the map they have.
Yeah. And the fact they don't mount and ways to traverse the map in a quick fashion, I think really helps the feel of the map. And I do agree with you that the current size plus a zone, because we haven't really seen Ebonscale Reach yet, but I think it's going to be good enough for launch for sure. Here is a big thing, Bordy, something we talk a lot about. They are adding expeditions to the game, or dungeons, or whatever you want to call it, 5-man experiences, PvE, that require people to coordinate their attack and approach on to complete. So I'm excited, dude. We finally, I think most people knew that they were shooting towards something like this, and it's finally, it's official, dude, and it's going to be in before launch, which is even more encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the mid to late game content that we've been wanting, I hope. It doesn't specify in here what the level is just yet, so I don't know what levels we'll be able to run these. I'm hoping that we can start running them early and run them as an alternative way to level up and to get gear as we progress through. Like, we've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, and now they're finally here, man. They're calling them expeditions, 5-player instanced adventures. Dude, I'm in. It's dope, dude. It fits now. It fits the game now. This is the direction they were headed. That we all thought this was happening, and then it's confirmed. It's happening. Expeditions, dude.
Absolutely. The game definitely needed, and we said this a lot after the preview event, the game definitely needed some other form of activity or way to not only help level or to keep players interested, but, dude, to progress the story of New World and help fill out the lore. And that was another big point that they mentioned while they were, high-noting or keynoting expeditions, was that they're going to use these to help tell the story of Eternum, which is exciting, man.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to dive into. Yeah, and what better way to do it than running through content like this? I like that a lot. I like the mixture. So now we'll have the lore pages that we can find out in the open world, and then you come down into the dungeon for an extension of the story. It's good, man. I like that. I like that format.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we don't know how many expeditions are going to be added before launch. So we'll see, I guess it's to be determined, but this is another way for them to add content pretty easily, as, the game goes live and it becomes a live client. Throwing out an expedition every couple months is a pretty good way to keep people engaged, I think, because everybody's going to log back in to try out the new expedition, I think, if they're good, which, obviously we all hope that they are.
Yeah, I think so. Do you think we'll get a group finder in the game? This doesn't mention anything about a group finder in here, but do you think that we'll get something like that? And okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think we'll get it, and would you want that in the game?
Yeah. So this is very challenging conversation, because I know there's like a pretty mixed, a mixed opinion on group finders and the effect on the feel of an MMO. I think there's ways to do them correctly to where they don't, impair the MMO feel, where you kind of just find a group that way, posting a ledger on the town board, or, they can do a creative way that helps find the people to do the dungeon. Now, I think we still want, I would still want players to have to run to the dungeon, not just teleport into the dungeon, which I think a lot of other games do. You kind of get in the queue, and then when the queue is filled, then you just automatically, everybody teleports to the entrance of the dungeon. I would still like to see the fact that you would have to run there if they do implement some sort of group finder, but I think it can be fine without it. I don't know. We'll see. Because if things get clunky and it gets to be troublesome to find a group, because it's a 5-player group, then I think people will be requesting the dungeon finder, right? Because that's the main function of a dungeon finder, is to help people who have trouble finding people to complete activities with, to help them find a group. And here's the thing: it's already in the game. The sieges have group finder. The invasions have group finder, so we'll see, man. We'll see if they execute it with the expeditions as well.
What do you mean the sieges and the expeditions?
So like you sign up on the board, like you go to the board and sign up for the siege, and then basically that's how you put the group together.
Okay. I see what you mean. So then for like an expedition, it'd be something similar. You'd go into like the town like if there's multiple expeditions in one area on the map, say in Everfall, it's a popular area. So there's like 4 expeditions there. You would go into Everfall settlement and then go to the board and sign up for an expedition on the board, right?
Exactly. So you'd have to run to, like, say, for instance, it's in Everfall, like the expedition that you want to run. You have to go to Everfall and then go to the board and then, sign up for, like, I want to be a healer in the expedition, or I want to be a tank or whatever. Yeah. And then that way, I mean, like, I think there's a way to, like, that kind of keeps the feel of the world, but also helps people find a way to complete the expedition. Because that is also, like, kind of a feel bad thing. Like, if you want to do the expedition, but you can't get a group together. That sucks too. So, I think that's the best way to do it if they do it. But I
would have to agree. I don't really, for whatever reason, it takes away from the experience to me whenever you're just in town and then you automatically get ported into the dungeon with your group and you never even see one another ahead of time or whatever. I don't know, man. I kind of like the feeling of running out there too. And it is a little inconvenient, I guess. But it doesn't take a long time to run through the zones in New World, though. I mean, I think from one zone, I don't know of any one zone that it takes more than 10 minutes to run from one end to the other. Or at least, in the preview event, it didn't seem to. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's that big of an inconvenience, and it keeps the world lively. You see people running around. It makes it feel more like an MMO versus everybody clumped up in town, and then you use the dungeon finder, you just get ported over there. I don't know. It just takes away from the feel. It is obviously very convenient to have that happen, but I'm with you in that regard, man. I would rather have to run over there. Well, it's just more. I don't know, man. It's just something about that experience that you miss whenever you just get teleported over there.
Yeah, well, and I think, here's the problem with not having like what we're mentioning, which is basically, I think, a very clean way to execute it, which is, just go to the town, sign up on the board, and then you find a group, and then you have to run to the dungeon. You have to run to the entrance, because right now they're doing a great job, I think, with limiting fast travel just from settlement to settlement. You can't, ping around like wave shrines or whatever, it might be, or camps or whatever. So then you'd still have to go on foot to the actual entrance of the expedition. But see, the other alternative is to use global chat or like some sort of group finder channel in game. And if you guys, anybody who's played an MMO, the literal troll underneath the bridge is local chat. or global chat. You don't want to really participate in global chat all the time, especially when you're trying to find a find a group, because you're going to get a lot of people that are not going to help you find a group, but they're going to help you understand the fact that the government's trying to control us all with fluoride in the water. Or something along the nature of that. So
okay. So I have a couple more questions here before we move on from expeditions, and I think these are pretty valid thoughts here. So, what about grouping up with other faction members, and how is that going to work for an expedition? Can Syndicate only group a Syndicate to go run an expedition? Can a Syndicate member group with a Marauder and a Covenant to run it? Like, how is that going to work out in game, you think?
Sure, I would assume it's dependent on if you're flagged or not. Because I know a lot of the times, I've during the preview event ran portals with people of a different faction, but
and you could group with them, and you could party with them.
You can group with them and party with them, but if you're flagged, it won't allow you to do that. Just like if I'm flagged and one of my Syndicate brothers is not, I can't group with them either. So it's kind of I think it's dependent upon flagging, just like everything else. But I would assume you could probably run an expedition with the other faction. For sure.
Should you be able to?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so now with the way it is, but it's just kind of odd to me. The whole faction thing, man, I can't wait to see what they do with it, because they say they have some big reworks, but this is another example of how the faction system I don't know, man. It's just it's a weird thing to me. You're supposed to be enemies. I don't know. I don't know that I like that
foreshadowing our next point, dude. I think they may have already announced what they're going to do potentially with the faction system and the territory.
Maybe so. Okay, so before we move on though, I have one last point about expeditions, and that is team comp for the 5 players, man. What do you think we're gonna have? One healer, one tank, three DPS essentially.
Absolutely.
You think that's what it'll be? You don't think there'll be like maybe a use for an off tank or 2 healers or something like that? It's gonna be interesting with 5 players.
Yeah, I would say not in a 5-man group. What's interesting, here's the thing, that kind of, I guess, remains to be seen. Now, they've already went to the effort to kind of improve healing and, aggressive management, aggro management with tanks and making them more beefy with the tower shield and everything like that. So I would assume you're going to need a tank and a healer to do well in these particular dungeons, but one of the games that completely stepped away from that Holy Trinity and was successful was Guild Wars 2. You basically, all players are responsible for the support or healing, of each other, and it works out that way too. So who knows, man? I would assume though, because of the changes they've made recently, that they intend to have a tank and a healer in each dungeon group, and then 3 DPS players.
Yeah, maybe so. I just find it interesting with 5 players, with 4, it's a little bit more cut and dry, I think, 1 healer, 1 tank, 2 DPS or whatever. With 5, it's just a little bit odd, so we'll see. I guess we'll see how the dungeons play out to see what the group comps will be. But I would agree. It'd probably 1 healer, 1 tank, 3 DPS would be my guess. But
yeah, for
anyway,
sure.
Just kind of an interesting thought.
Not for sure. We don't really know. But I would that would be my assumption for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
So, any more questions, Bordy, about expeditions?
No.
All right. So here's the thing that we were kind of talking about before about, management of territory control and the battle between the factions. We have Outpost Rush. Now, Outpost Rush is a new PvP feature, something that I was extremely excited to see because it proves that they're not completely stepping away from PvP. Dude, this game mode looks extremely unique and extremely awesome.
Yes, it does, man. I'm excited for it, dude. 20v20. It looks almost like a MOBA / I don't know, man. It's hard to tell what it looks like, but there's a lot going on in these things, and it's very obvious that it's not just PvP happening. There's like building up of the outpost that you have to do. It appears that there may be some gathering of resources that you have to do. There's all kinds of things going on within this game mode that it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun, man.
Yeah, it's still a mystery to me. We looked through a bunch of screenshots on one of our YouTube videos and saw a bunch of crazy stuff. They were like summoning stones and like there were corrupted portals, and there's corrupted forts,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like this corrupted like ogre running around beating on doors. It looks intense, dude. Gigantic animals, wolves and bears running around. Like, we'll see, dude. I would love for it to be some sort of MOBA type thing, but there are 3 factions that are battling in these, or no, 20v20, so it's just 2 factions, but there's 3 different fortresses which you have to control. So we think at this point, as we look through the screenshots and stuff, it's going to be sort of a control or like a zone control type feel, right?
Yeah, I think so. And a couple of things that I'm hoping happen with this mode for sure. Number one, I hope that this is tied to the undermining of the faction system somehow, and it's not just some mode you get in there and run just to be doing it for rewards or whatever. I hope that it's tied to the overall gameplay loop in some manner. The other thing that I hope is that I hope these are not time-gated activities. That's one of my biggest qualms with New World and with any game that does sieges. I think ESO is probably the best example of one that does this very well, is that you can jump into Cyrodiil and it's a lattice system. You can go in there and you can participate in these large scale battles immediately. You don't have to be online at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night to participate in the event. So what if my kid has a basketball game that night? I can't go, or I can't play in the siege like that. To me,
it's a large
that
part of the
sucks.
game that you can't do at that point. Yeah,
it's a large part of the game you can't do, and to me, it really sucks, man. And that is my biggest criticism of New World at this point, is that whole mechanic right there flat out sucks, dude. I hate it. I hate it in any MMO, and I don't think I'm the only person that does. I think there's a large group of people that do, because, dude, we can't no life the game, man. You know, you have to be on at a very specific time, and oftentimes when those sieges happen, especially during the preview event, I couldn't make them. I think I made one, and I had to adjust my entire schedule to come participate in it, and it was a big hassle. It's like, dude, that's not what I want in a gameplay. I want to be able to sit down at my computer and be able to play the parts of the game that I want to play and enjoy. And I think that's going to be very off-putting to a lot of people, is that time-gated content. And so I hope that this 20v20 battle is not time-gated and it's something we can do all the time. If this is something that is time gated that you have to be on at like 2:00 in the afternoon to do or something, dude, that's awful. And I hope that they don't do that. I hope they realize that and adjust it. Those are my two biggest hopes for this mode, man. It looks incredible. Everything we've seen looks amazing. Please tie it to this faction system, and please, for the love of God, do not make it time gated. Let me participate in this when I want to participate in it.
I agree, and here's the thing.
Rant over.
Yo,
sorry.
It's fine. We know you're old, man. No one's holding it against you for sure. So, dude, here's the thing, dude. This, to me, Outpost Rush, hopefully kind of lends itself towards maybe them adding smaller outposts to the zones, like you had mentioned. So it's interesting to discuss what this looks like, right? If it is part of the territory control scheme, how, right? So how would they execute this in a way that allows you to influence the control of the territory using these outposts through a mini game like PvP? Because, like you said, we don't want it to be time gated, but if it's a big part of the overall like war, then how does that work? What does that look like? Is it the same kind of situation as like we insisted the expedition should be, where you just kind of go to that town and sign up? There's maybe 3 outposts in the current zone, and you just sign up for whatever outpost rush you want to do at that time, or because then maybe like there's one every hour. Who knows, man? I don't know how that would work out.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it's also, if it's 20v20, I would assume these are instanced type of situations, right? Like, I mean, if it's 20v20, it has to be some kind of controlled instance type of situation. So, so I don't know. I don't know how they would tie it to the faction system. The only thing I can think of maybe would be that if your faction owns the territory there, then you always participate, or you always have the opportunity to participate. And then if you are trying to undermine the territory, then you would get a team of 20 together and go try to run an outpost rush and beat them to undermine the territory a little bit or something. I don't know, but even that gets real complicated, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, and we don't have a lot of information to go on. We have no idea how these things are going to play out, or what the purpose is really. But it just seems a little bit empty to me if you just sign up for Outpost Rush and you're just doing the 20v20 battle. Like, dude, I'll be playing it all the time regardless, because it looks really fun, and I'm all in on some PvP activities. But it's going to be a little off-putting if it doesn't really amount to anything, and all I do is get in there and run it for fun over and over and over. You know what I mean? Like,
or maybe, like you said, you can't do it all the time because
Yeah, exactly.
Because
if I can't do it all the time, then that's the two biggest PvP activities of the game that you can't do all the time. And in my opinion, that is an enormous misstep for the game. And I think that would be a very poor decision on their part, because the PvP community already wants a lot of PvP, right? Like, and I'm one of those people. I want to be able to PvP a lot. Mm-hmm. When the preview event, the only PvP to speak of, except for the one siege I got to participate in, was open world PvP, which is a flagging thing again. And so you have to kind of get lucky enough to come up on somebody else that's flagged and they actually want to fight, because in New World, a lot of times in the preview event, people would just run. They'd flag up for the extra XP and then they would just run because they're trying to complete
which happened to be pretty easy with the light stuff, or being able to blink away. Yeah.
At that particular time, it was, yeah. So it was hard to find consistent PvP. Is my point, right? Like that, I wanted consistent PvP. I didn't get it during the preview event. The times I got it, it was amazing and left me wanting more. I wanted to do it more and more because it was so freaking fun. But the problem is you couldn't get it enough. And if this is time gated too, man, I'm going to be bummed out, bro. I'm going to be really, really bummed out if this is something you can only do at a set time, once a day, twice a day, whatever, because I won't be able to do it. I won't be able to do it, man. My time of play is very odd. I don't get to get on during prime time. My kids are awake. I'm spending time with my family. We're eating dinner. I'm playing board games with my kids, helping them with homework, going to basketball practice, whatever. I get on at 9:00 at night. And I play from 9 p.m. until about 1:00 a.m. And that's my time. And during the preview, there were no sieges happening during that time. So that's what sucks. I hope they can figure that part out, man. It's my biggest qualm, my biggest issue with the game. And I hope they fix it, because it really does suck.
Yeah, and it's challenging too, I think, to stagger those in a manner that kind of helps everybody. Whether you're a night shifter and you only get to play from 1 in the morning to 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah, it is.
It's very challenging to make a video game tied to these time. Like you said, they're time gated in a way, to where you have to be on the game at a certain time. It's very challenging to make those activities work for everybody. And that's the problem. We don't if I only have the ability to play New World between the hours of 8:30 to 9 p.m. to 12 to 1 a.m. every night, and there are no of certain activities, well, then I'm buying a different game than somebody else, really, because I'm not getting to participate in sieges or invasions or Outpost Rush, if this is tied to way that that way too. And then that is a big factor when someone's especially MMO players, you're basically doing well to play one game at a high level or spend your time in one game, right? And so if that one game doesn't have the features you want, then the likelihood of you sticking around aren't very good, because you're just going to go to a Final Fantasy 14 or a WoW or an ESO that has those particular events that you want to play available all the time, not just in certain hours of the day.
Yeah, and I would agree, and that's the biggest concern, I think, in my opinion, right now. And I hope that Outpost Rush is kind of a solution to that. And if this is something we can do all the time, then that would probably satisfy the need for the people that can't participate in the sieges. At least you can go to Outpost Rush whenever you want. So we'll see, man. It's going to be a huge bummer if that is time gated. So, but I guess we'll see. We don't know a lot about it yet. So hopefully it's something we can run all the time. Maybe we can just queue up for it. Maybe we can, I don't know. I will see.
Here's my prediction. Are you ready? I like to make these because I can either be extremely wrong and then everybody can make fun of me, or I am right and then I get to brag and then no one cares and they still make fun of me because, that's just the internet in general. So dude, I think that that is an instanced 20v20. I think that it is not time gated. I think you can just basically the first 20 people that sign up kind of get chucked in there. I don't think it's faction related even. Like, I think it's just 2 factions, whatever 2 factions get 20 people first, go. So it's not like, maybe particularly like if you're controlling the zone, you have to be part of the Outpost Rush, right? Like, I think any of the 3 factions can be. And I think that in a way of completing a PvP quest, Bordy, Outpost Rush will just reward a certain amount of influence. It won't be like a zone control thing. You will just like, you're by competing in Outpost Rush, you're gaining influence for your faction. So it probably maybe, 10, 20 times better than a PvP quest? I think that would suffice, dude, and allow people to compete in any time they want to.
That would be the perfect solution, I think. And that's what I meant by tying it into the faction system somehow. I didn't mean like you win the territory, because that's obviously tied to sieges, and that's how it should.
No, I know that's not what you meant.
Yeah.
But I think it's also possible that they break up the settlement into like these little mini outpost zones, right? And so then maybe your faction controls an outpost within the zone.
The settlement?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and that it could be a possibility. I guess we'll see what happens there, but that is a possibility. There could be little outposts broken up across the settlement. That'd be pretty interesting if that was the case. And if you were able to join in, so let's say 20v20, if there's 10 Marauders on a team, 10 Syndicate on a team, and they make up one team, right? And then on the other team, there is 20 Covenant on the other team, right? Mm-hmm. So then if the team that has the 10 Marauders and 10 Syndicate on the team wins, then their influence for the territory would go up some, and then the Covenants would go down based on how many people participate in your win. And whoever wins,
I think probably you still have to, maybe not though. I think you still have to have 20 people from the same faction sign up. I just don't think it's going to be. I think it's just the first 2 factions that get 20 people, possibly. Yeah,
but you don't in sieges. You can be a Syndicate and sign up for a Marauder versus Covenant siege.
Big true, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it works. But I think that would be fine though, because most of the time you're not going to have 10 on. You probably wouldn't have even numbers, right? So you could have 15 Syndicate, 5 Marauders on one team, and then 20 Covenant on one team. And then if the 15 Syndicate and 5 Marauders win, then the Syndicate bar gets pushed a little further over. You know what I mean?
That's interesting though, because then it becomes a less impactful activity.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
We'll see,
or maybe you're just fighting for one team. Like in the sieges, whenever you sign up and you're not a part of the war, if you're an outlier but you sign up for the war anyway, you're basically fighting for one of the other factions. So maybe that's how it'd be an Outpost Rush too.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, dude.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think that's the one. That's the one activity that they announced that there's a lot up in the air still. Is Outpost Rush.
Yeah,
we kind of know what to expect with the new zone and then dungeons or expeditions, but that one's an interesting one to talk about for sure. All right, man. Yeah. Well, that about does it for all the information. You got anything you want to add before we tie this bad boy up?
That's it, man. I think that's about it.
All right, so why don't we hop over to the company of the week? And it is the Hellfire. Oh, yeah, you go, dude. No, you. Sorry.
Are you going to do it this week?
No, I'm not. I was just going to say the name. I was going to say the name, but that's your thing. You do it.
I mean, it can be yours this week if you want it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Hellfire Coalition, man, they're a streamer-friendly company. I think that's pretty interesting that they have that in the title. I like that a lot. So if you're a streamer and you're looking for a company to be a part of, Hellfire Coalition may fit the bill for you. So they say they are in a region, faction undecided, English-speaking, focus is PvE, size is 11 to 25. They are currently recruiting. So it sounds like they're kind of a smaller company.
Smaller now, dude.
Smaller now. Yeah, true. But after the shout out, they're about to get blown up. So Hellfire Coalition, streamer friendly. It says they are an active company with a mix of casual/competitive. They're focused to support all their members that create content, videos, streams, etc. That's awesome, dude. They require They require a streamer-safe environment, and members should assume a stream is live at all times while you're playing or in voice. I like that. That's dope. The company has been formed for many types of players that enjoy and work as a team, a place where they can enjoy all aspects of the game at their pace while still having an opportunity to get involved in in-game content and group shenanigans. And members are not required to be a content creator or required to communicate through voice. But if you are a part of it, you have to understand that there are a lot of other content creators in the company. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. And then there's a few other rules, a few other expectations there listed, but I'll let you guys read through those. I'll make sure I link all this in all of the descriptions below in YouTube and on the podcast platforms. But dude, I like it. Hellfire Coalition, streamer-friendly company there. It's dope.
Yes, sir. If you're interested in joining a company and you're a content creator, this is definitely one to consider. Also, if you have your own company and you want to promote it, go over to newworldfans.com and sign up there. Sign up for an account. You can promote your company right there on the page, brother. There's literally a section devoted to people's companies, and we have tons. I mean, I can't remember what the number is, but hundreds of companies so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
If you're interested in joining one, just fish through there, man. I mean, literally, I can't imagine you finding a company that you wouldn't want to join with all the different varieties that are there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
there's a bunch of them there.
All right, well, dude, New World, it's hype, boy. Dude, we're on the way there. 6 months or less until we play New World again. The beta is in July, less than 6 months away. I'm extremely excited, man. So happy to have this information in front of us and all these different interesting activities that they're adding to the game. It's a great time to be covering New World, brother. And guys, again, if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, do that. Go to our Twitter, follow the Twitter account. We announce all of our content there. We're going to be announcing New World Fans updates, which we have some big ones coming soon prior to launch. So hang tight there. And then, all of our content, if you follow the Studio Loot Twitter account, that's the one that's active. That's the one that's putting out all the announcements and everything like that. So anything else, Bordy, before we close?
I think that's it, man.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate it so much. Thank you. You have now survived 3 delays of New World, and we have 2. You guys are the true OGs. One day when we look down the line, Bordy, and we see these people that have been downloading and listening to this podcast for this year or however long. I mean, it's been over a year now. We're on episode 55. They're the ones that can claim, I was there.
Yeah.
My podcast. Yeah. All that nonsense. Or not nonsense. We appreciate it. We appreciate your guys' support. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, watch your mouth.
I don't know what I'm talking. I say no. I like nonsense and poppycock. I say it no matter what. I don't know why I have a disorder of some sort, I guess. And that's gonna be. Let's just end on that note. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on another episode of New World to Go.